Put the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine, homie, until my heart stop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can. The underdogs on top, the underdogs on top. Go ahead, envy me. The underdogs on top, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can on it.
Rockin' like the six on top. Whole club rockin' like the six. Rockin' like the six on top. Whole club rockin' like the six. Rockin' like the six on top.
The underdogs on top.
Welcome in, everybody, to the In Off the Bench podcast. My name is Jim Cross. I do not have Ava Garza. I do not have Daniel Ball, but that's okay because we got conference tournament action starting, and we can't waste no time. We have to get this episode tonight. We're going to be talking Georgia Tech baseball with Tate Mckee, but before we introduce him, bring him into the fold, we got to talk about the sponsors. Chinook Seedery, 8 flavors, best sunflower seeds in the game, mild to wild, can't go wrong with them. Tate, I will ask you, hadn't even introduced you in the show, but tell me you like sunflower seeds.
I love me some sunflower seeds, no doubt about that.
What is your favorite flavor?
Of the Chinook seeds, I think the cinnamon type
Cinnamon toast.
Yeah, cinnamon toast. Those ones are unbelievable. I love those ones.
All right, let me give you a little secret. Mix some cinnamon toast with some smokehouse barbecue. We call them smoking toast. It is the best in the business. Of course, since we are talking to Tate, our other sponsor, Jesus One Apparel, John 16:33, empowering young men and women to be bold in their faith. Seeing these athletes everywhere just being bold, using their platform, Tate being one of those. And so go check them out, JesusOneApparel.com. Use code IOTB20. Save yourself 20% and 15% go to local ministries. But sponsors are plugged, bills are paid. Tate, my man, how we doing tonight?
Doing good. I appreciate you having me on here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to know, like, you're from Kennesaw, Georgia. Was my quick assumption is that's where Kennesaw State is. Is that correct?
It is. I probably grew up maybe 8 minutes from Kennesaw State's campus. So,
is it one of those things that were you a fan of Kennesaw State just naturally because you're right there?
I grew up actually a huge Auburn fan. So both my parents and both my sisters went to Auburn. So I was like, that was like the dream for me was to step in and go to Auburn. Obviously, everything didn't go fall the right way for me to go there, but I'm happy to be where I'm at right now. I can tell you that. So
that's interesting considering y'all have the midweek matchups with them.
Yeah.
Well, clearly in the right destination because things are going well. We're going to get into that in just a second. But, you know, if I'm to go to Kennesaw, outside of going to watch Kennesaw State, like what's one thing I must do or one place I must go eat? Like tell me something about home that's like a must do if I was to visit there.
Growing up playing summer ball was, everybody, East Cobb baseball is like 15 minutes from where I lived. So it's just right outside of Kennesaw. I think the address is technically Marietta, but that was kind of the thing for me. It was always being close to Lake Point and East Cobb. I always had people live in my basement, but I would say the thing to do in Kennesaw, man, we love to, go to, what else? So what do we do? We always like to go as like a group in high school. We go to the restaurants like on Barrett Parkway. They got 1,000 Otter's Chicken used to be what we go to all the time. Volcano is a hibachi restaurant, but we used to go to Six Flags sometimes, things like that. There's good things to do out there in Kennesaw, but very chill. Just like to hang out with the boys in high school. So
yeah, I've never had a bad time anywhere in Georgia I've been. So just can't go wrong no matter where you're hitting up in Georgia. And like you said, East Cobb baseball, it just don't get better when you're talking about the travel ball scene. For you, who was your favorite athlete growing up?
Golly. I would say probably Jason Hayward was probably my favorite athlete within Major League Baseball. But I also was a big Cam Newton fan, just because growing up an Auburn fan. He was an unbelievable athlete, insane at Auburn, Heisman Trophy winner. But yeah, I like to keep up with him. And then Jason Hayward, grew up Braves fan, hit a homer in his first game. I was watching it when I was like 8 years old, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I'm wearing 22 now, which is what he actually wore. So like I can claim that, that's why I wore it. But I actually just got put in that number, and I like 22 a lot. But yeah, Jason Hayward and Cam Newton were two of the guys I liked when I was younger for sure.
Yeah, Cam Newton is one of the guys. So as an LSU fan, and they talk about Joe Burrow in 2019, and we talk about like best Heisman. It's the reason why if someone says to me Cam Newton, I won't really argue, because the way Cam Newton put that Auburn team on his back was different than what Joe had. Joe had all the weapons in the world, right? But like Cam Newton had to literally put that team on his back, strap them up, and carry them. And that's not to say the team wasn't good, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, when people talk about like that, who was better, now it's talking about the Indiana team this year too, and I mean, it's hard to compare just because Burrow was insane, and he also had, two. You can debatably say the two best NFL receivers on his team in college, and a good tight end and Sebastian Moss. Like, he had all the tools in the world, and then Cam just was a different quarterback. He did a bunch of running, things like that, and then Mendoza was just on a team that just was unbelievable all around. So it's hard to compare all three of those guys to each other just because they were in such different situations in the college football world at the time. But yeah, it's fun. I love college football. I love keeping up with those guys and seeing where those people turn out and things like that. But
yeah, no, I mean, he even he showed it on the next level. Like, as a Saints fan, obviously, no different than as an LSU fan, not liking Auburn. I didn't like what he was doing in Carolina MVP season, leading them to 15-1. Like, I mean, the dude could flat out ball. And then, touching on the other one, Hayward, around here where I'm from, like there isn't a major league team. And so people either fall one way or the other with the closest either direction. They're either St. Louis Cardinals fans or they're Braves fans. So big Braves community. Obviously, we started this show really with Austin Riley in the first season. So can definitely get down anytime a Braves answer is done, because kind of got a little love just there because we don't have a real local team, and it's kind of always been them and the Cardinals, even though I'm repping the Pirates hat because tomorrow I leave to go see Connor Griffin and Paul Skeens because they've both been on the show numerous times. My dad might be rolling in his grave on that. As a Cardinals fan, might not like that I'm wearing Pirates going to root for the Pirates in St. Louis, but we'll deal with that on in the afterlife. But so kid from Georgia, you talk about it. You grow up an Auburn fan. Ultimately, things didn't play the way you said. You ended up at Georgia Tech. But how did Georgia Tech specifically become the school for you?
Yeah, I mean, they were just honestly the school that was there for me the longest time throughout my recruitment. I mean, I started getting recruited, I would say around 15 with some smaller schools. And then my 16U summer is where it kind of all started turning out for me. I had a couple big games in the summer and offers started rolling in. And, Tech was one of the teams that they started talking to me at a younger age at 15. And then they were there the whole time. They didn't just, one call offer me. And I was able to build a really good relationship with Ramsey. And then, the pitching coach at the time, obviously he wasn't there when I came in, but I've built a great relationship with Matt now, who's the pitching coach there at Tech, or here at Tech. So, I mean, it worked out great. I was in between some other schools, SEC schools that were, not as close to home. It was a big deal. I wanted my family to come and watch me play. My parents have been pretty much able to watch me play almost every game of my Tech career, which has been just unbelievable in that itself. But, being able to meet some of my best friends, guys that'll be at my wedding at Tech, and, Burris being my roommate, things like that. It's been about all I can ask for, with the college situation. But I mean, one of the reasons I also committed here was I knew I was going to get an opportunity to pitch early, and I didn't want to have to go somewhere and maybe potentially have to sit out my freshman year just because, people don't like to throw freshmen. And I got that opportunity my freshman year, and it was a big learning year for me more than anything else, just because I got to pitch a bunch of big games and, pitch against some really good hitters, like guys like Cam Smith in the big leagues. Like, I couldn't say I could have done that at other places, for sure. So that was, for me, getting to do that as a freshman was really what set me up for my success in, the past couple of years. So, I mean, that's pretty much why I chose Tech. It's been unbelievable. So,
well, to touch on the part about close to home, let me tell you, this being the 6th year I'm doing it, and all the families that I've gotten to meet, and the amount of, I watch Tate. Now, I don't understand, honestly, how some of these parents do it, whether we're talking about the financial part or the time, like when their son is away from home and they travel all these miles. And I'm like, where are you getting the time? Where are you getting the money? So I'm sure your parents are super appreciative that you're right there, right? Like, they're not, obviously you got away games, but you got a lot of games at home close. And then, particularly in that area, man, shout out to you taking care of the fam, doing it close, not making them have to go endless miles every single weekend.
No doubt about it. I mean,
But
I only grew up like 25 minutes from Tech, so the same house that I was born in is the same house that I'm still living in. So it's been pretty nice for them. They can just drive up, drive back whenever they need to when we're at home, and we play the majority of our games at home of our
nice.
56
So
game schedule. So
you talk about that freshman year, appeared in 18 games, a lot of experience, but like I always ask the same question to every guest because freshman year is such a learning experience. And I always want to know, what do you feel like was the most valuable thing you learned about playing college baseball that freshman year?
yeah, I mean, I would say for me the biggest learning, I guess, piece for me was just the mental side of the game. I mean, you can go to college and people can tell you a bunch of different things about how college is going to go, and it's really hard for them to like. It's pretty much impossible for someone to explain to you the mental side of the game. I mean, everybody that's going into college is normally really good in high school. They're normally the best player on their team, and they're the best. And you go from there, and then you get to college, and you're like, man, this is so much different. The game's faster, and the game has a whole different level of the game to it. And that's just really all I could be thankful for my freshman year is how I learned how I could mentally prepare myself. I came into college not mentally prepared for the struggle and the success. I obviously had a very up and down season. There was games that I didn't even record an out. There was games that I went into the seventh inning as a freshman. So it was a fun season. It's definitely a different season than what we got going on this year. Very old team, first year of the portal kind of deal. We had a bunch of 6 years. Not really a bunch of kids in my class were playing, besides guys like Drew and Vaughn. So it was different, but I learned so much from it, and it's one of the reasons why I've been able to focus on my mental game, just because people don't really understand how much the game can take a toll on you in your head. So
Which is the perfect segue to the question that, I get excited following guys who are using their platform, who are open with their faith, and they talk about it because that mental side, I've seen it for guys who do not have a relationship with Jesus. I see the way the mental side weighs them down in a different way because a lot of times they identify themselves as a baseball player only, right? They don't see themselves as something bigger, something more, and they don't have God to lean on when the things go up or down. And so, for you, man, how much of a role has your faith played in baseball, whether we talk about the times where you're down or you're up?
yeah, I mean, a ton. Obviously, I grew up in a faith-based home, so parents set me up good. I went to Mount Perrin Christian School, so I grew up going to Christian school my whole life. I wouldn't say I really took a big stride in my faith until like my senior year of high school, where I was really able to kind of take a stride there and really focus in on it. And then throughout college, I've made some massive strides of just being able to be in a consistent routine of praying and journaling and learning about the Lord every day and becoming a leader on the FCA leadership team and getting guys to be in our Bible study weekly and things like that. But I mean, it's been huge for me. When I've struggled, he's been there by my side the whole time. And when I've been, succeeding, he's also been there by my side. So it's encouraging to know that I always have that there for me. And it's created a bunch of amazing relationships throughout college, whether it's David Snell, the guy who's the leader of FCA at Tech. He's been pretty much my mentor throughout college. And then, Carson Kirk's one of my best friends who's on the leadership team with me as well. So there's so much greatness throughout this in my college career and, throughout my life of what the faith has brought me. And as I can continue to do that throughout my career, it would be amazing. And, it brings so many open doors, and to know that my identity is not just in the game is kind of, what brings me peace in doing all of this, honestly. It's tough because people, only identify themselves and how they perform that day. And it gives me peace knowing, oh man, if I struggle that day, I surrender to the Lord and know that he's got my back and that this isn't all I got in life. So.
Yeah. And I thought it was great. Sermon yesterday was actually given by the student pastor at our church. And he talked about, storms aren't optional, right? They're going to come. But during the storm, where are your eyes, focused, right? And he talked about the story with Peter getting out of the boat, right? And like when he was focused on Jesus, he was good, right? But when he took his eyes off, and that's
Right.
what you love to see is athletes who are keeping their eyes focused in the right direction. That way, when the storm does come, when that bad game does come, when that injury may come, whatever the case may be for whoever, stay focused, man, and don't let it weigh you down and be the one who's sinking. So it's just awesome to see you using, your athletic opportunity is not, like you said, who you identify as. You identify as a son of Jesus Christ. So I mean, it's just awesome stuff watching you use your platform. Obviously, made the video with Jesus One. I work with them as well as they are a sponsor of the show, and just seeing your team wear and rep the apparel, and like you said, doing the Bible study, it's awesome stuff. But back to the baseball side, Friday night starter, back-to-back seasons, absolutely dealing. You're coming off a huge game. You're the ACC pitcher of the week. That development that's happened from that freshman year to now, man, just talk about, that and how you've been able to have success in this Friday night role.
Yeah, I think it comes in a bunch of different pieces. Obviously, it became with, the mental side of it to start. But, I mean, after my freshman year, I had the goal of, being in the weekend rotation and know that, we didn't return a bunch of guys and we had to get some guys out of the portal. So I knew that I had a good opportunity to be the Friday guy, and that was what I shot for, and I was able to earn that role. And then from there, my goal was, start every single Friday night after that. And I was able to do that last year and been able to do that this year. But, I've developed, pitches throughout this, been able to learn what can be successful versus certain guys, things like that. But I would say the biggest thing is I've added a bunch of pitches. I came into college probably fastball slider guy, and now I've got about a 5 to 6 pitch mix and consistently can go with that. And that's probably what leads to my success the most. I wouldn't say
I'm the guy. What's your favorite pitch you've added?
Probably the sweeper. Sweeper's probably the most fun pitch for me to throw. I wouldn't say it's probably my best pitch that I've added, but it has been very successful this year. But it's just been a fun pitch to throw. It's a new pitch, and in baseball you see people like Skeens throwing it. It just moves a lot, and it's just fun to mess around with. But I mean, I would say just being able to learn how to pitch and adding those pitches and making hitters uncomfortable is really what I've learned a lot throughout this, and becoming more professional and things like that. It's tough because you have guys that have just like Burns, where he's the most dominant pitcher ever because he just has the greatest stuff ever. And everybody wants to be Chase Burns. Everybody wants to be the first overall pick or whatever. But, when you're in a role like me, it's like, am I set up to be Chase Burns? Maybe one day I could throw as hard as him and have the stuff as him. But, I don't have the stuff as him right now. So how can I be at my best with the stuff that I got and the tools that I got in my kit? So that's kind of where I'm at with that, and continue to get better every day and trust God that He's got a plan for me. So I think it's been working well so far.
Yeah, well, you're clearly, the tools are working. You're trending in the right direction. It's never been trending in the wrong direction, but you're getting better as the postseason approaches. And I think back to the postseason last year, I got to see you pitch in person at Ole Miss in the regional, and a guy, is a big time friend of mine. I trust what he says more than anything, is Coach Bobby Miranda. And when he told me to watch you and keep my eyes, he was like, that's a dude taking the mound, and I got to see that. And so, yeah, been well aware of your work since I got to see it last year. Was very surprised. Obviously, don't want to spend any time on it because we're talking this year, but I was really surprised. I thought, y'all were going to be able to make that push into the super regional last year when you came into Ole Miss and everything, and was surprised it went the way it did. But, this year, whole different thing, right? You're no longer, the hunter. You're hunted. You've been at the top, all year. Everybody is well aware of how good Georgia Tech is, for this team. How do y'all manage to keep your foot on the gas, right? You've won the ACC. You've held the top 5 ranking all year. How do you make sure that there's no kind of letdown as y'all make this push towards Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, we know how good we could be as a team. We set a ton of goals before the season, and we got to a bunch of them. Obviously, we've came short of some of them, and we still got a lot more left to push for. But, I mean, it's just, we know we're talented and we know we can do it. It's just a matter of us putting the product on the field and not putting too much pressure on it. And it's been fun being the team that's being hunted, because that means we got to play our best game every day. And even when we play our average game, most of the time we can still beat the team. So, but when we play at our best, it's pretty hard for anybody to go face to face with us and win. And so that's a good thing to know that we can do that. But it's been cool just to see that the core group of guys that we've had from the start to the top. So, with me, Drew, Vaughn, CK, and some of those guys, and then bringing in guys like Loy and Shattuck and Zuckerman and Advincula, guys that have helped us a ton. It's been cool to have those guys just right there with us along for this ride. And it's really, we're very I guess we didn't have a bunch of experience in the postseason last year, and I think that's where we lacked. We were a good team, but we just didn't have a bunch of experience, and now we have a bunch of guys that are experienced and have been there and done it. So that's where I feel good about most going into this postseason. So.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the few teams I genuinely believe are complete, and you talked about it, because just using SEC because that's where I spend most of my time. You got teams like Georgia and Texas A&M who can bang, right? But like just calling it what it is, you can see the pitching staff numbers, and you got teams like a Ole Miss and Texas who can really pitch, but aren't putting it up, hitting wise. But you see, ironically, you being a guy who knows Auburn. Auburn's one of the teams that I think falls into the category of Georgia Tech, right, where it's very complete. And so I think there's only a handful of teams that match what Georgia Tech brings to the table in the sense of being able to bring everything to the table. And I think those are the teams as we get to the postseason that are scariest, right? Because if one thing falls apart, you have the other thing. When you see teams that rely solely on one side, when that's gone, what do you got? So I love what Georgia Tech brings to the table. Complete team. You got both sides, and especially with you as the Friday guy, really interested to see it. Obviously the ACC. Last question, I got ACC tourneys on deck. You always want to win it, but like it does, it doesn't change anything, hold any weight. Is this one of them things you obviously want to win it, man? But is this week just really about this kind of having fun, really? Like, I'm not trying to like word that the wrong way, but you know what I mean? Like, don't get overly caught up with trying to win this thing. Like, it's not Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I would say for us, honestly, it's huge for us. We've been a team in the past, Georgia Tech's kind of had the resume of not being able to succeed in the ACC tournament, and that's one of our big goals. We kind of got a thing of no finish line right now, and just keep checking boxes. And your regular season title was one, and we got another box to check, and this week in the ACC tourney, I think give us a bunch of momentum going to the tournament. Maybe can set us up to be the number one overall seed. That's an advantage to have. Even though people can say it's jinx, it's about being the best team in the country, and that's
that's why I asked the question, because I'm not sure on my stats with the ACC. Like I said, SEC's predominantly where I'm at. If you win the SEC tournament, you're not going to Omaha. So like, that's almost why I asked that question, because I don't know if you want to win it. Tennessee is the only outlier in the last 6 years since I've been doing this that if you win the SEC, you look at Vandy last year. I mean, I'm in Hoover. You can't tell me that's not the best team in the country right there at that moment, and then they turn around and get another regional.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we just try to take it one week at a time. I don't think it's really about. Things happen, stuff happens, teams make mistakes, and their seasons are over. But it's about being where our feet are, and that's with the ACC tourney right now. And we may have to do some things, with coming with pitching to where we can be prepared for the regional. But obviously, we'll go from there when the time's there. But I think we want to take it one game at a time, and if we can win that championship, that's what we want to do. And if that I don't think it's going to affect us, but I think it just sets us up. That's just what we want to do. And we go from there, and we'll be in the regional and super regional, and then hopefully Omaha. So yeah, I think that's a big goal for
Omaha. And now that I know your full story, like, and Lucas Steele and the boys are outfitted in Jesus One as well. Like, I think it'd be cool if y'all got to square off with Auburn. You've already played them a couple times. I know that that's your second love, and like that'd be kind of a fun like little story for you.
That'd be a pretty dream appearance for me to get to start against Auburn at once in my career. I never got to, just because I went. So when we started against them my freshman year, we didn't play them until late in the season, which I had already slid into the rotation at that point. So I wasn't able to pitch against them in the middle week. And then obviously the last 2 years I haven't been able to pitch against them. But it would be cool just for, my dad's still the biggest Auburn fan ever besides baseball. It would be cool to just be able to, make that connection and hopefully do my thing. But yeah, they're a complete team. They can pitch and they can hit. That's for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the turnout of ACC and SEC. And there's obviously we played. I think honestly Auburn and Georgia are probably the two best teams in the SEC. I could be wrong. You probably know a little bit more than me. But
yeah, no, and
A&M bangs too. But you got
Georgia hits at a whole different level. And that's one, hopefully you get the opportunity to play them in Omaha, because that would be the only place it would take place, and get a chance to study up on that lineup. They definitely it's as nasty it gets top to bottom. They even lost a like an 18 home run guy and haven't even skipped a beat. But
Yeah.
no, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But Tate, I'll be honest with you. That's why I was glad we did this episode. Look, stats don't lie. In our 6 years of in off the bench, like no team has won if we didn't have guests from the team. As a matter of fact, whatever team we had the most on from won. That's not going to happen this year because it was LSU. So, so that streak will end. But it's always been guests. And then in the 3 years since I've been doing Jesus One, the team has been outfitted by Jesus One. So I say that to say, when you look at a lot of the top teams, there's a couple. UCLA don't have any guests, don't have any Jesus One apparel. I don't know, man. Not really giving them a shot. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Yeah, they're a good team. We'll see what happens. They got a bunch of talent. And, obviously, the Big Ten's liked a little bit this year, but I mean, I think they line up against anybody else. They can hit, they can pitch. They got a full squad. It's just a matter of, who they've played. I mean, they went up against Mississippi State like that and were able to compete. So, no doubt in my mind that I think they're a top team in the country.
Yeah, no, they were there, or they were there. I was there in Arlington for that weekend invitational, and my mind is still blown, Tate, that with the game on the line, they pitched to rock. Like, first base was open, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Like, the guy's projected 1-1, and you throw him pitch and he ties the game, and it's like,
yeah, that was like an ego toss. We were watching it as a group, and we're like, wow, like that. Like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, you're up 3 runs in the 9th inning with 1 out, with 2 outs. It's like, and you let the best player in the country at the time go yard. I mean, that's pretty much just letting the game beating you itself. But
yeah, so sometimes coaches can overthink it. But yeah, I'm excited, man. The best time of year is here, and so, man, I wish y'all the best of luck. Before you get out of here, I'm gonna do a little combo with you because with my co-host not being here, I didn't really know. A lot of times we either do this or that. We do blind ranking. I'm just gonna do a condensed blind ranking, and then it's got a couple of our favorite this or that questions just to see where you're at. Okay. But on blind ranking, so you've even mentioned a couple of the guys. I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but we've probably had upwards of 100 pitchers on here, probably 50 of them that have been drafted, but I'm only giving you 5. You don't know which 5 they are, and you're going to rank them as they come in blindly. So first one out the gate, you're rating most outstanding player, the College World Series, Cade Anderson, 1 through 5. Where are you putting them? You have no idea who's coming, so.
I know. I'll probably go 3. I like 3.
Safe play. Chase Dolander.
I'll go 4.
All right. You already show how much you love this guy, Chase Burns.
Gosh. I mean, if we're going straight off Omaha, he was all right in Omaha. I mean, he was unbelievable in college itself, but I don't think got an opportunity at Wake.
I made the best. Look, he and the boys invited me out to Wake to come watch them military appreciation weekend going against Clemson. Went out there. He had 17 Ks, and I mean, it was filth.
Yeah, I mean, I would say pure stuff wise, I'll probably put him 2.
All right. Ben Joyce. I could have left him off the list, but man, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a guy who throws 105 miles an hour.
I'll say 5. I will say I did work out with Ben Joyce for there was a couple times he worked out at a place I worked out with in high school. I wasn't in college at the time, but he's an absolute monster of a guy. So strong.
When I first watched the video of him deadlifting, I was like, that's not – baseball players aren't supposed to be that strong, man. Like, calm down. And lastly, you played it right. Paul Skeens goes 1. but it was the reason I was interested to see where you would go with Burns because I've talked with a lot of guys in the MLB. Obviously, college is my thing, but being that we've had these guys on numerous times when they were in college and we've watched them as they develop, right now people are talking about is Paul Skeens the best on the planet, but I've had guys in the MLB, scouting department who've told me they feel like the ceiling for Burns could be higher. So it's not crazy when you're looking at those two and comparing them. Obviously, Burns isn't there yet, but you were talking about that with yourself, right? Like it's all a developmental thing, and it's where you end up.
Right. I mean, pure stuff wise, he's 100% there. He just, the major leagues is a whole different level. I mean, he's been incredible this year. I think he's the top 3 in the Cy Young race. I wouldn't say he's slacking too much this year compared
Well,
to
that's
last
why I
year.
put Dolander in the mix. Dolander, unfortunately, he's on a very bad team, but this year he's sub 3 ERA and doing his thing for Colorado. So it was actually crazy. Last year there was a certain point where just two guys that I know and I'm rooting for to do well. The least when they had top 5 guys with the least run support, Dolander and Skeens were both on it, and I was like, making it hard for me to root for these guys. They can't even get a win because you won't help them out.
I know. It's crazy to have a losing record and win Cy Young. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, that team's turned around, and I'm like I said, I'm heading there. And Connor Griffin, we've had him on since high school, and when you look at him and Seth Hernandez and all these young guys that are coming up, like the Pirates have the potential to change their history of not being relevant. And if they can pay Skeens, retain him, these young guys come up like there's definitely possibilities. But there's going to be the Yankees and Dodgers of the world looming to take him off their hands. So we'll see how it goes.
No doubt about that.
All right. My 2 favorite this or that questions. People love this one the most, with athletes. If you can go to any concert or any sporting event, like bucket list, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter where it is. Are you taking the concert or are you taking the sporting event?
Sporting event, 100%.
What is the sporting event that's the bucket list for you?
I'd probably would go World Series. Like if it's like maybe like who would it be? Like or maybe like an ALCS game, like Yankees Red Sox. Like I feel like that would be pretty cool. I'm also not like
that's actually back-to-back episodes that the Yankees Red Sox in the postseason was the answer, ironically.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the coolest thing for me. I'm not like a huge music. I like music, but I'm not like I want to be at a concert for everything. It would be cool to be like a Coldplay concert out of like maybe the out of the world and like a like Greece or something. That would be pretty cool. But I would say I love sports too much that I couldn't turn down an opportunity to go like games, game 7 of an ALCS and it's Red Sox.
It's really just the way you're wired. We have some athletes on here that like they play sports so much that like they just want to do something that's not sports. And I get it. For me as a fan, I'm with you. Like I can't see myself wanting to do anything that's not going to a sporting event. And it's just a question of which one. But man, I like anytime the World Series is said, like it's not a bad answer. But the other question, and this is the tough question because that one is 2 good options. This is 2 terrible options. If you had to do 5 years in prison or 10 years in a coma, what are you taking?
Probably 5 years in prison. Just because there's guarantee that I'm probably like going to be fine after the 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll be living. Hopefully,
you'll be 30 years old. A lot of life will have been gone though, in the coma. Prison, some life lessons.
Probably would have learned a lot in jail to not do eventually if I was able to figure it out in jail. But hopefully neither one of those will ever happen. But yeah, I think I'd rather spend time in jail than a coma for sure.
If Daniel was here, Daniel is always coma. I'm always jail. I just don't want 10 years to be gone. For me in my stage of life, I don't want my kids to be grown up. It's not even about me being older, but him, he's so dead set that he wouldn't go to jail that he said he wouldn't even visit me if I was in jail. That's how he didn't want to do jail. So
that's hilarious.
But that being said, man, you're off the hot seat. Anything you want to plug or promote? I know we've talked about a lot of different things, but anything you want to plug or promote or shout out before you get out of here?
I'm good. Just go Jackets. Hopefully we can continue to push through and win this thing. And obviously, Jesus Won Apparel. They've treated me right. It was good to have the Georgia Tech shirt on the website for the week and keep repping that. Hopefully, you can rep it in Omaha.
It is still there. So if anybody wants to get your Georgia Tech Jesus Won Apparel, it is still there. Do you have what ministry y'all are working with?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. I've said throughout. I was just going to do Georgia Tech Ministries. I'm doing FCA just because, but I wanted to keep it quiet from Snell, the leader, just because I wanted. Obviously he probably won't be seeing this until once I give him the check. But I'm excited to do that. He's given me a ton. FCA's given me a ton. A bunch of friends outside of just baseball, athletes, football players, things like that. So it's been great and a good opportunity for me to, grow through Christ has been at FCA. So yeah, that's probably where I'll send all my money back to.
Yeah. Since I know my LSU guys won't probably be watching the Georgia Tech episode, I tell you that's where it went wrong. I had the LSU FCA leader, they did their shirts and they've had a bunch of meetings. And she said, yeah, the baseball guys have just never showed up to the FCA meetings. And I talked to Jake Brown. He said, well, we do our own Bible studies, but it's about community, Tate, man. They gotta show up to the meetings. And maybe that's just why this season didn't go right, man. They were playing it all wrong.
I don't know, man. That's been a tough role for them.
It has been, but Tate, my fan base is so spoiled. Like, we've won 2 of the last 3, and so we have a bad season, and people are dumb enough to want their coach fired or talk bad about these players and say they don't care and stuff. And it's like, man, like, just calm down. Like, you just won a championship. You
just won 2 out of the last 3. It's pretty ridiculous.
Welcome to what normal teams deal with, because most teams win a championship, they don't get right back there the next year. So, LSU has been very blessed, and so I'm one of those people who don't lose my mind. Plus, rooting for guys who've been on this show. I got plenty of rooting interest, so I'm not gonna lose sleep with one bad season. But I do look forward to watching you guys. Wish y'all nothing but the best. When is your first game?
Thursday. I play Thursday. We got Thursday. Yep.
All right. Well, we will be tuning in. Wish you nothing but the best of luck. If there's
anything we can
do for you, man, just reach out.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That's Tate Mckee, everybody. If you just like hearing his story, or you like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. Me and Daniel will be back tomorrow night. We'll be talking to Olivia Troutman from Oklahoma. But in the meantime, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.